So let me ask you this then. Do you think that the singularity is a religion for geeks, for example, like Jaron Lanier sometimes calls it?
I think for some geeks it is, yes, and I say that in the book. That's not to say that everybody who's involved with the singularity or everybody who's involved in transhumanism is religious, because they're not, and like to point out that they're not. But there's certain elements. If you've talked with scholars of religion, religious scholars, and they'll tell you that there's certain key elements that exist that make something a religion. And that's things like there has to be sacred text, right? Or text that everybody who's part of the movement reads, right? And so you could say, okay, well, that could be like the singularity is near, right? Everybody involved in that movement has read that book and knows everything about that book, right? And then you've got to have certain rituals, things that everybody does, right? Oh, well, everyone takes their vitamin pills. Many of them wear, or everyone who's part of this religion, if you will, it probably also has a cryonics bracelet because they want to be frozen if they die, so they can be brought back by the transformation. And there's all these different things. I go over them in the book. I'm trying to remember what the other ones are right now, but there's a number of characteristics.
The presence of good and evil.
Yeah, good and evil. They know what good is. They know what evil is. They promise transformation. I mean, all of these things exist.
Eternal life.
Exactly. Within the singularity movement. And that's not to say it's a religion, but there are religious elements in it. And some of the people, not all of them who show up, some of them are religious about it.
Mm-hmm. So you just mentioned that some people wear cryo bracelets. Do you wear one yourself? And
No.
What do you think of cryopreservation? Because that was one of the issues that I thought was kind of absent in the book. So I wanted to bring forth, did you do that on purpose, or?
Yes, it's purposely absent from the book because I think the technology to repair living humans will advance faster than cryonics technology. I mean, I think we'll be able to build organs, a multitude of organs before we're ever able to bring somebody back from the dead. So I expect I'm hoping that I'll live long enough to live a very long time.
More than 100 plus?
I hope so.
Speaking of that then, do you have any tips for the rest of us? Something that you picked up in terms of your daily routine or regimen that you did not do and started doing after completing the research for your book?
Well, I'll tell you something I discovered that I didn't know before, which helps to motivate me. And that is that when you exercise, you affect your epigenetics. When you exercise, you actually turn on your longevity genes. And there's been a number of studies that show take people who don't exercise at all and then put them on an exercise program, and they look at their genes before and after the exercise. And genes that are associated with longevity are turned off in those people. And then after they've been exercising for a while, they're lit right up. And then those are the protector genes. So I like to say to my friends, the reason to exercise is not to lose weight. The reason to exercise is to turn on your longevity genes so you can be healthier. And that helps to motivate me. So that's one thing that I discovered. And then the other thing I discovered, in going through a lot of the scientific literature on diet and all that kind of stuff, is that there doesn't seem to be one type of diet that really works. The only thing that really works is just eating less. You really need to be thin and well nourished. I mean, take your vitamins and just don't get fat. Essentially.
So do you practice calorie restriction yourself?
No, that's too difficult. I could never do that. I don't have the willpower. But I do try to eat less. I mean, I think about it. I mean, when I'm looking at my plate, I look down and something better be good for me to eat it. Or I'm not going to eat it because I know that those extra calories are so bad for me.
You don't have like chocolate urges or something like that, ice cream?
Oh, well, dark chocolate isn't so bad for you, is it?
It is, yeah, in moderation. And how about something else like, I don't know, resveratrol or any other things that you might be using now or that you didn't use before?
Well, I've always been a red wine drinker, so I guess I've always been on the resveratrol bandwagon. But, the research on that recently has been somewhat depressing because it's turning out that that compound is not quite as effective as we had all hoped it would be. It's tough to find that magic pill.
Yes, indeed. So, let me ask you this. Are you optimistic in that case? Because Ray Kurzweil is often criticized for being too optimistic about the future. How would you qualify yourself? Because, let me stop it at that.
Well, people have called me optimistic, but nobody's used it in a critical way, which I'm very happy about, because I actually really tried hard to make sure that the book was balanced and based in reality. I don't make any predictions. I think it's very tough to predict when something is going to happen. I know Ray makes a lot of predictions, but science is hard, and I can see. I say in the book, look, we know that aging is plastic now. We know it can be affected. How long is it going to take for us to be able to do that in humans? It's hard. It's really hard to do. Growing organs, well, we've made a few of them really well for humans, and we've had huge progress in animals. Will we be, we've been able to make a rat heart and rat lungs. Will we be able to make a human heart and human lungs? Probably, because the proof of concept's there. It's worked really well with other stuff, but you never know how long it's going to take. And so I try. I'm optimistic, but I'm solidly grounded in reality.
You're more of a cautious optimist.
Yes, a rational optimist.
Or a rational optimist, yes. So if I'm to push you a little bit to speculate about our chances of experiencing and or surviving a technological singularity, what would you say they would be?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What do you think are our chances of surviving a technological singularity as a species?
Well, that's tough to answer, because the singularity by definition is a time after which we don't know what will happen. I guess it all depends on how you define species as well. I think humanity will continue to evolve as we have been, and that evolution will speed up, especially as we begin to integrate computers in with our bodies and be able to decode the human code, as we reverse engineer ourselves and then re-engineer ourselves, we will change, but this time we'll be in charge of our evolution. And is that a good thing? I don't know. But hopefully it will be. I mean, we're self-interested beings. And if we continue to follow that ingrained preference, then it should work out for us.
So you're not fearful that may be the end of humanity. In other words, that the quest of immortality that we're pursuing with all those advanced technologies, which may also give birth to artificial intelligence, may eventually lead to our eventual or ultimate demise as a species.
No, I'm not worried about it. I mean, it is a risk. And I think it's something that a lot of people, smart people right now, are thinking about and trying to prepare for, and so that's good that we're there and thinking about it so early. But I think we'll make it through. We've made it through so much already.
Sonia, it's been fascinating talking to you today, and we're approaching the end of our interview. So let me ask you, where can people go and learn more about you and your work?
Right. So they can go to my personal website, which is my name. So it's soniaarrison.com, all one word. And then, of course, my book can be purchased pretty much at any bookstore, I think, and of course on Amazon.com, which is where I buy a lot of my stuff.
Excellent. So, in conclusion of our interview, do you have a single thing or a single message that you would like to share or spread among our viewers and listeners today? Yeah,
so one of the things I was also hoping the book would do would be to spur interest and activism from people in terms of pushing some of these technologies to move quicker than they otherwise will, because Yes, at some point, I'm almost positive we're going to be able to grow brand new human hearts for people. But will they be ready for me? Will they be ready for you? I don't know. They might not be if we don't really make it a priority, if we don't make human repair a priority and human health a priority. And I'd like to see more people pushing for human repair technologies and regenerative medicine. And, I hate to use the term anti-aging because it sounds so snake oil-ish. But there really is there's a large number of researchers around the world who are working on slowing down aging, and they need help. They need resources, attention, they support essentially, and they're not getting enough of it yet. And so we really need everyone, philanthropists and journalists and academics and all of these politicians, policymakers to come together and really support this field if we want to be there when it happens.
Fantastic. So that's, by the way, one of the points that I had underlined here in your book towards the end, and I'd like to read that paragraph, if I may, where you say, "We are at the cusp of a radical change in social consciousness. Humanity is finally in a position to shed its acceptance of disease and death and instead launch a true offensive against it. That is the good news, but it comes with a qualifier." And then to skip a little after that, you end up saying, "The longevity revolution depends on the strong and sustained efforts of a diverse set of people who refuse complacency."
Right.
So
we can't sit back and expect it to happen. It might happen later on if we sit back, but we might not be around for it. So we really can't afford to be complacent. We really need to push hard for this research to move ahead.
Sonia Arrison, thank you very much for being on Singularity One-on-One today with us.
Thanks, Nicole. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sonia.